It's 2025, and Linux as a desktop OS still sucks. And no, that's not just my opinion, Linus Torvalds himself has called out its problems. Despite all the improvements over the years, there are still major issues that make Linux a frustrating experience for the average user. Today, we're diving into why Linux is still a bad desktop OS. A while back, I made a video called Linus Torvalds on why desktop Linux sucks, which stirred up a lot of discussion. Since that video, I've taken another look at Linux on the desktop, and honestly, the problems haven't gone away. One of the biggest problems with desktop Linux is that self-updating apps basically don't exist. Everything has to go through some centralized distribution system, whether it's a package manager repository, Docker, Snap, or something else. There's no universal, easy way to install an app directly from a publisher and have it seamlessly update itself in the background without needing to open a terminal. On Windows or Mac OS, you download an app from a website and it keeps itself updated. That's how desktop users expect software to work. On Linux, you're either stuck using a package manager that may not even have the latest version of an app, or you're forced to manually deal with app images, flatpaks, or obscure dependencies. It's a nightmare. Doing anything in Linux inevitably requires opening a terminal at some point, and that's a terrible user experience. Even developers don't feel like busting out a terminal just to do basic tasks. Installing software, fixing broken dependencies, setting up drivers, so many of these things still require running obscure commands that a normal user shouldn't have to deal with. On other operating systems, you can usually get by without ever opening a command line. Linux, if you're using it long enough, you will have to. And when that happens, you better hope you know what you're doing, because one wrong command can break your whole system. Speaking of breaking your system, that's surprisingly easy to do on Linux. A simple update, an innocent package installation or uninstallation, or even just changing a setting can sometimes lead to a completely broken system with no clear way to fix it. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of these issues stem from the fact that you're forced to use the terminal. A single mistyped command, an outdated package, or a broken dependency can leave your system completely unusable. Unlike Windows or Mac OS, where recovery options are more straightforward, Linux often requires digging into bootloaders or even full reinstalls just to get back to a working state. Now let's talk about professional software. If you need industry standard tools, Linux is still a no-go. Sure, open source alternatives exist, but if you're in design, video editing, architecture, or corporate environments, you need software that just isn't on Linux. No official Adobe apps, no AutoCAD, no full-featured Microsoft Office. Yes, there are workarounds like Wine or cloud-based versions, but they're not reliable, and they definitely don't offer the same level of performance or compatibility. Even when you do get alternatives, they often lack key features, or worse, clients, customers, and coworkers are using Windows or Mac OS tools, and you're stuck trying to make something compatible. It's just not worth the headache. And on top of that, when things break on Linux, and they will break, it's rarely as simple as clicking repair or reinstalling a driver. Instead, you'll find yourself scrolling through obscure forum posts, copying random terminal commands you don't understand, and hoping that some guy's answer from 2014 still works. If your Wi-Fi stops working, get ready to Google kernel modules and firmware patches. Your audio cuts out? Time to mess with ALSA or Pulse Audio configs. Need to install something that's only available in a specific format? You'll need to figure out if it's a deb, RPM, app image, flatpak, or snap, because of course, they all work differently. So where does that leave us? Linux has its strengths. It's powerful, it's customizable, and for developers and privacy-conscious users, it's amazing. But as a desktop OS for the average person, it's still a mess. And the worst part? A lot of these problems have been around for years with no real progress toward fixing them. What do you think? Am I wrong? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.